It's Friday. Baby boys, baby girls, welcome back, ladies and gents. It is March the 3rd, 2023. Thank you very much for joining me once again. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. It's Friday. It's about to get... Oh, yeah, we're about to have some fun in here. And if you've been with me for some time, you know what it is. Where can you check out these videos? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Instagram, of course, follow me there if you like. Search Rob Sadri or Glad You Made It on YouTube if you're looking for the full-length videos. And you're like, man, what about it? Is there another platform that you're on? Can we reach out somewhere else? And perhaps is there somewhere that we can give back to watch the show grow right before our eyes? Yes, patreon.com/Rob Sadri. Thank you very much for asking. But nonetheless, everything is up there for you to enjoy. We are here once again every week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check it out. Talk about it if you like. Let's have some fun. It is Friday, baby, the 3rd of March. We're marching on now. We're marching on. A lot of things are happening as per usual. A lot of exciting events in personal lives, in the collective lives, coming in together, mashing up. Oh, it's about to get meshy in here. We're about to mesh it up, and we're about to get meshy. Oh, yeah. Hope you're keeping it tight. Keep it tight, keep it right. That's what I've always said. That's what I always continue to say until proven otherwise. Keep it tight, keep it right, baby boys, baby girls. We are, man, oh man, so many things are happening. We're gonna just get into it. It's gonna be a loose goose episode. I had a little run-in with a homeless person yesterday. An individual who was homeless had a run-in. I don't know if it's categorized as a run-in. I don't even know what a run-in is. Like, do you plan run-ins, or is it like, or like run-ins, are they by accident, or like we had an interaction. I had an interaction with a homeless person, which was, I was at the local gas station pumping the gas, sucking out the old gas out the nozzle, putting it into my vehicle, the juice, if you will, that black liquid gold. Or that, rather, gold can't be black, so it's just black. That type black. But that's what it is, man. Pumping the old gas, and all of a sudden I see an elderly gentleman, maybe in his 50s or 60s, homeless attire, shopping cart, pushing it along, coming right close within my space. And, he starts getting into a little conversation. He's introducing himself to me. He's telling me what he's planning for the day, and he plans to take a trip from where we were to further up north. Long story short, he's essentially asking for change, and I felt, I felt bad. I felt because I didn't have any change on me. And here he was, like, he repeated a story to me that I'm sure he's repeated to. That's how it goes, I'm assuming. Your heart goes out, and he, as soon as I'm like, I apologize, sir, I don't have anything on me, and I legit didn't. I felt bad because I'm like, man, I wish I had like a little change that I could, pass along to this fella, just so he can make it through the day or whatever, But that's the thing. He thanks me. He's like, thank you. That's how you normally thank people. And he thanked me, turned around, and there was another gentleman on the other side of the gas pump, and he starts telling the same story, and so that was a little something that I saw yesterday. But the reason why I'm mentioning this, I guess it's, it's homelessness, man. It is, I don't know what it is. Homelessness, and I guess a little bit of like, you hear things, you read things, but then you see things. And I'm not saying, nowhere's perfect, but I don't know if it's just me or if is anybody else noticing, like before, prior to COVID, prior to Schmovid. Prior to the pandy, we had homeless people. We had homelessness, and I'm sure we have it all across Canada in different regions, in different pockets of cities, everywhere. And it's not an issue just for cats. It's everywhere. It's one of those things. But like, I do recall, I wouldn't see too many homeless people in different parts of the city. It would kind of be concentrated maybe in the downtown core areas, specific areas sometimes. But now and again, I'll be driving every now and again, I'll see people that are just like at an intersection, homeless at a, middle of the suburbs, homeless and at an intersection. I'm not like at Lakeshore, downtown Toronto. I'm a little bit further away from there. So I do see it coming up, essentially, is what I'm saying. It was a thing that it was, centered more for, maybe that's just my experience. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying as much attention, but it's come to my attention as of late that I do see it more. I do see more of it. And again, it was designated areas, or at least quote unquote designated or undesignated rather, not written anywhere that you should go here if you're homeless, but that's what it was. Downtown area, some places it was prone to, housing, or I guess accommodating street folks, not even housing, but rather, the streets was the housing. And essentially, I'm just saying that they're moving up there, and there's more people out there like that. So and I was just, man, he wasn't looking good. He wasn't, he wasn't in the best shape. I don't know if he was, all sorts of things, not judging, obviously, it could legit happen to anybody. But and I'm reading simultaneously on my days in my, reading this, reading that, looking into different subjects, things that I'm interested in. And I do notice there's been significant rise in overdoses, in contamination of drugs, specifically with fentanyl coming in across the border. And I was just curious. I'm like, man, where's all this fentanyl coming from? Who produces the most fentanyl in the world? Who's the largest manufacturer of fentanyl? I asked that to Google, and Google came back with different websites, with different articles, with different takes, all pointing to China. Apparently, from what I gathered, do your own research, of course, but from what I gathered, it's 90% of world's fentanyl is coming in from China, either directly, meaning it's produced, everything is produced in China, the fentanyl is produced in China, then shipped off to places like Mexico, and then it enters the US and it comes across the border up north here into Canada's. So that's, and I was like, because initially I checked pretty much, all the sources that I looked through, it was like China, 90%. I'm like, why is it, that's peculiar, that's weird. And I looked into it, and apparently it's because China has, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, big pharma in China, pharmaceutical manufacturing companies don't necessarily play by the same rules as our big pharma here in the North Americas and West, in the Western society. And that's scary, because we've seen what our Western big pharma is capable of. And then you're like, man, there's somebody out there doing it even faster and looser. Good golly, geez Louise, it's like, yeah. So when I came to looking into it a little bit, I found out that apparently China's extremely loosey-goosey with the laws and implementing the manufacturing of fentanyl. How loose are they, you ask? Looser than a 195-year-old asshole. Looser than a mother's vag, with all due respect, who's given birth to, let's say, 27 babies. It's what it is. Wonderful. Circle of life. A miracle in and of itself, if you ask me. 27 babies, lady. But it's loose. So it's right, and that's what it is. But that's beautiful, because that's like motherhood and like sacrifice. 27 babies. I'm not quite sure if that's even possible. I'm pretty sure somebody's done it. I'm pretty sure someone's done it. Shout out to you, but it's loose is what I'm trying to say. That's the point, that you're like, how loose is the Chinese government's policies when it comes to manufacturing illicit drugs and then having it shipped off to elsewhere? And it's pretty darn loose. Looser than a moose hopped up on all sorts of maple syrup and maybe a little bit of fentanyl. What the point is that it's pretty loose. How loose is it? They're not even loose to the sense that it's prohibited to manufacture fentanyl or the other ingredients that goes into making fentanyl. They actually very progressive in a sense. If you think about it from a bit, I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, well, how does this even happen? Because it's not just coming into, fentanyl's not just coming into Canada, not just coming into the US. It's being distributed all over the world, essentially. And here's this one place, apparently, allegedly, from what I saw, producing 90% of the world's fentanyl, and they're pretty loose about it. Actually so loose that it's extremely progressive in the sense that they don't even penalize manufacturing fentanyl. They actually sort of kind of reward it in terms of providing subsidies, tax breaks for big pharma down there who produces either, again, fentanyl by itself or the ingredients that go into making fentanyl. And I'm not a chemist. I'm not a, I'm not a, and that's like, you're like, no surprise. I just do want to make it clear, because somebody, you never know, because I do give up sometimes chemist vibes. I be walking outside, they're like, chemist? I'm like, nah, dog, I can see how you draw those like conclusions. But no, I don't want there to be any confusion as to, you're like, man, I've seen you pouring water in a glass, H2O in a glass, and how much of the mass space is, and water takes the shape of the object that it gets poured into, or inhabits, that's right, where it's living. Cup, shape of a cup. Swimming pool, it'll take the shape of a swimming pool. Bathtub, water in a bathtub will take the shape of a bathtub. Water in a loop-de-loop straw will take the shape of a loop-de-loop straw. And you're hearing all these scientific terminologies and you're like, are you sure you're not a chemist? I'd be honest and I'd tell you, if I was a chemist, I'd tell you. But and yes, I do have access to some of these, scientific and extremely legitimate terminologies that I'll just slip it in there, and you're like, man, sometimes just like bring it back, and I do, because I'm like, I'm basically a street chemist. If you want to, I wouldn't go in and like call myself a legit chemist. Street chemist for sure, at least like sidewalk, somewhere in between, not quite street chemist, but like sidewalk chemist. Yeah, all chemists. But the point is, China is producing 90% of the world's fentanyl, and it's coming over here and killing the peoples, and also making, essentially adding more problem to the already existing homeless problem that everybody is encountering in some shape or form. And it's just no bueno, just from a business standpoint of view. Because that's the thing, from a progressive business standpoint of view, one entity, one government having massive monopoly over something that we could be potentially making bank on ourselves, we should be producing more fentanyl. We should be producing all the fentanyl. From a business standpoint of view, of course, from money's all like, that's because like otherwise you're like, why would you even produce fentanyl? I'm not saying we should produce fentanyl, but I'm saying if it's going to be produced, 90% of it, and it's being shipped out, like, I'm not saying it should, but if it is, that's what it is. So no, think about that. It's not a fully cooked idea, but I'm just, from a business standpoint of view, I'm just like, whoa, what? If we're going to be, it's like, what is it? It's like, essentially we're getting, it's like, man, it's like, when it comes to the game of fentanyl, it's like there's only one pimp in this fentanyl game, and their shit, man, is a dirty, lucrative game, most probably. And perhaps it's not even so much about the money. Maybe they're not even in it for the money, because deep down inside they're like, what if we just like give away a ton of fentanyl, just fentanyl it up in different cities all across the world, and like, I'm not, wacky governments be doing wacky shit all the time, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, next time we have it'd be nice to, once the global leaders get together for different meetings, when one of the global leaders is happen to like be sitting beside the CCP leader, Xi Jinping, yes, when you're shaking hands and taking photos, whoever it may be, some be like, yo, what's up with the fentanyl manufacturer? Yo, could you like not produce fentanyl and and not incentivize it and give tax breaks and subsidies? That'd be dope. I don't know how that conversation might go. It is pretty much like, it's one of those, because they might see that as a way to be like, you're moving in, it's like drug dealing lingo, right? You're moving in on our turf. We like to supply, nobody supplies our consumers better than we do, and you're basically all the way over there, and like it's, from a business standpoint of view, of course, specifically talking about monetary aspects of life, just money, nothing else. But like, because if it was up to, like, because And that's what it is. So, you know, be careful out there if you're, you know, if you're consuming whatever you're consuming. Uh, be very careful. I would suggest, you know, I personally don't do anything. I've never dabbled in the, I guess, categorized in my own head as the hard drugs, if you will. Never done cocaine, not interested. I've never, you know, done heroin, not interested. But if you are that person that does cocaine or whatever, I would highly suggest you get that shit tested, fam. Get that shit tested. Break out a little test kit. Nothing gets a party going like a big test kit. Everybody test kit. Let's get Lydia and test kit this shit. Test kit, pour it in, you know, get your little butterfly knife, cut that brick open, scoop up a little bit of scoop before putting it in your nostrils, before putting it up your asshole, before rubbing it on your gums, before putting it in your ear holes, before rubbing it in your eyes, before wearing a bandana and just like, you know, putting a little bit behind the bandana and then just fucking playing Guitar Hero and then jamming out and then hoping for sweat to break out and then have the cocaine drip down your face. You know what I'm saying? Before you wear fingerless gloves and grow one long pinky nail and store a lot of cocaine underneath that pinky nail. Yeah, you big pimps out there and ladies and gents, before you do the snifferoo, go ahead and whip out the test kit. Just put a little bit in and see what color it turns into. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. I'm not quite sure if that's the same, like, I know that applies to something. I'm not quite sure if that's how the coloring scheme works in the coke and fentanyl game. But if it's a different color than the color that you're used to, I don't know what color it's supposed to turn into. The testing kits, I have no idea how they work. I have no idea, like, cocaine, from what I've seen on the telly, from what I've seen in, you know, it's white. So once you mix that white substance with the test kit stuff, it should turn into some other, like, there should be, you know, it should be fairly straightforward. All I'm saying is test it once, twice, thrice, just to make sure you're saving lives out there. Because, you know, I'm all for people doing whatever they want with their lives. Have fun is what I'm trying to say. But be very careful. You know, I just don't want to see people like just fucking like, oh man, fentanyl over, and you're like, how do I keep my? I'm not a parent myself. A lot of things do scare me when it comes to parenting, and this is one of those things that I'm like, holy shit, dude. If it's like, because you don't know, like, at least adults, at least when you hit it, hopefully, at least when you hit a certain age, you're like, I'll be, you know, I'll still live life, but like, I'll be a little bit more careful. Like, children don't know, and you're like, how do I prevent my kids from getting access to fentanyl? The best way to tackle it is, you gotta get wet, baby. You gotta get wet. In order to be able to swim, in order to be able to float, you gotta get wet first. What do I mean by that? How do you know your kid's into fentanyl? How do you know? You test it out. You test it out. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to get in your soccer mom van. I want you to, well, it'd be actually nice if you can allocate a little bit of money, maybe rent a van for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months on particular occasions. Dress up in a disguise, something just completely, you know, just out there. Basically what I'd like you to do is wear a large mustache. Ladies, large mustache. Some chest hair. Put some chest hair on those melons when you're going out, because I want you to basically go undercover as a drug dealer. Go out there to your children's school, wait outside for a little break, and then once they're like playing, be like, call them out. Maybe don't call them out, because then that's kind of sus. Like, they'll know, well, how do you know my name? Stranger danger, this guy. Don't call out their name. Rather say something low key, like, you know, you want to be selling drugs and you want to be selling fentanyl, right? And you got your bag of fentanyl already. Just be like, psst, come here. Who wants fentanyl? Real subtle. Just, you know, just in a large Ziploc bag. Just be like, yo, maybe have a song. You know how the ice cream trucks have a song? Maybe have a fentanyl truck song. You know. Or whatevs, dude. You know what I mean? Just like, but the point is, call them over. Fentanyl, I got bag loads of fentanyl, good prices. And then all the kids be like looking at you. And that's the first thing. What, you know, you want to test it out and just, come on, don't be pussies. Come here, kids. Fentanyl. you got and then your kid comes in with a circle of friends of their friends, and then you're like, who wants fentanyl? And you're only focusing in on your kid, and your kid's not into it, but you're like, here, take it, it's a good price. And he's like, I don't have any money. You're like, take the fentanyl. And he's like, I'm not even into fentanyl. And that's how they play you. That's how they want to show, like, oh, I'm not into fentanyl. Fully into fentanyl. Who knows how deep into fentanyl your kids are right now. The point is, if your kid comes at you with like, oh, I don't have any money, my mom and dad only gave me enough money to buy a mystery meat sandwich at the local school cafeteria for lunch and maybe a little can of Coke, no money, you'd be like, you know what, here's 20, slip him a 20 and just give him the bag of fentanyl. And then just, swerve off, baby, swerve off. Drift at the intersection and then fucking like, haul ass essentially, and then wait. Go home and wait until the evening comes, and then just, have at the dinner table. Start asking questions. How was your day at school, Billy? Anything interesting happen while you're cutting the little sticks? Anything you want to share with Daddy and Mommy? Anything, Billy? Anything exciting? Anything out of the ordinary, Billy? Why are you sweating, Billy? Start shining a light on Billy's eyes and forehead. Remove his drink from the table. Let's see how he reacts. Are his pupils dilated? Is he blinking too many times? Is he not blinking enough? Has he got his eyes locked on you, or is he distracted? Is he suffering? Is he sweating? Does he have acne? Typical, classic behavior of a fiend, of a fentanyl fiend. So that's what it is. You're like, anything exciting happened? Because we've been just hearing, we don't know, things are happening, the modern times, events are happening. The world is a changing place. Billy, do you have any questions in regards to anything in particular? And he might have a world of questions that are like, just occupying his mind or her mind. And I like Billy because it's like, is it a girl or a boy? It's ambiguous. It could be anyone's child out there right now. Billy. Point is, and that's what it is. You just like avoid any, don't answer any other actual questions that they might be bringing up, because like there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place, bodily changes, hormonal changes, moods changing, growing pains, growing gains, growing stains, really, all of it. If any questions, we just push all that aside. Enough chit chat, Billy. Let's get to anything else happen on the playground or near the playground area, Billy. And then Billy would be like, no, nothing, just a little bit of kickball, a little bit of badminton, a little bit of foosball on the playground, a little bit of darts, a little bit of dice, a little bit of throw a ninja star, catch a ninja star, a little bit of hide and go seek, a little bit of just seek, you know what I mean? A lot of people like to hide, but just pure regular activity. So he's just like pretending, or she's just pretending like nothing's happening, and then that's where you grab their school bag and then dump it on the table. What is this, Billy? Reach into the bag and grab the old brick of fentanyl that you sold to them, and there's a $20 bill in there, and be like, what's all this money and fentanyl doing in your bag, Billy? And Billy's like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know, Mom. There was a guy or a lady that seemed like a guy wearing a mustache, a lot of chest hair. Could have been an Iranian chick, I don't know, or a lady, or a dude. Just saying, it could have been anybody. Confusing for everyone. And I'm just saying it's right there. And he handed it to me, or she handed it. It's distinct. I can't tell, and I don't blame you. It can happen to the best of us. And that's what it is, Mom, Dad. I got this bag of, I don't even know what it is, and that's when you turn the table. Hopefully it's got like hopefully one of those like tables that has a mechanism underneath. You probably have to pay a little bit more money for that to get the tables to easily turn, unless you really want to get physical with it and just start playing with the feng shui of the whole place, because this entire household needs a little bit of realignment in terms of like what is this family's values, son? So you think you can just skip off school all willy-nilly and get yourself some fentanyl and go joyriding with the boys and girls in your whatever grade you're in, joyriding around town doing all the fentanyls and shooting it up and down the streets, blowing up balloons and talking to animals and going for nature walks? Is that what you think this is? Is that what you think your dad goes to work for? Is that what you think your mom's doing to be breaking her back, seeing a chiropractor, taking sick leave because of her back issues, working her flesh to the bones, or sometimes in reverse, sometimes she'll work her bones to the flesh, which is crazy. But that's what your mom and I do. And you want to be going and doing all the fentanyl? Well, guess what, buddy? I'm going to do what my dad did for me, and we'll see how it turns out. You think you want to snort all this fentanyl? Let's sit here and snort all this fentanyl together. Matter of fact, I'm not going to leave this table. We're not going to have any ice cream tonight until Billy snorts all the fentanyl. Oh, go ahead, Billy. You think a little teeny tiny, go ahead, Billy, snort it all up. And if they're willing, great. If they're not, you force them. And soon enough, because like the smallest amount is incredibly deadly, but once they've consumed the whole thing, they'll be down on the ground, seizuring out, probably foaming, and then you stand over there, just arms crossed like this, or like this. Some like, cross your arms and just stand and be like, did we learn a valuable lesson today, Billy? And Billy's just fucking foam. You know, he's not so good with the multiplication numbers, but all of a sudden he's recollecting 911 real quick. You know what I'm saying? Pay a little bit more attention in algebra class, Billy. The point is, Billy learned a valuable lesson today. Sure, he's no longer with us, but guess what? As painful as it is good to have examples of kids fucking choking out on a lot of fentanyl, or even the smallest bit, because all it takes is just the smallest bit of fentanyl and you're just, like a dead rat, like a beautiful dead rat. But that is a good lesson for all the other kids out there to learn, adults too. If you're like, man, maybe I'll just go ahead and you wanna do fentanyl? You wanna do fentanyl? All the fentanyl together. No? Yes? Again, still, we're just thinking, because I'm one perspective, I'm seeing it from a business standpoint of view. I'm like, nobody, if anyone's going to monopolize on monopoly games and money-making schemes and devastating an entire public, that leads to all sort of just societal discontent, we'll do it to ourselves, goddammit. So stop manufacturing it, and we'll start manufacturing it right here. Right here, all of it. And that's one thing, and also setting an example as to, because that's, you know, because I hear that trick works with smoking. If you want your kids to smoke with, no wait, if you want your kids to smoke less, don't smoke. If you don't want your kids to smoke at all, make them smoke a whole carton of smokes. Is what I've heard. It's hit or miss. My dad never made me smoke a carton of smokes, and I smoke, so the reverse is like it should work. Technically, theoretically speaking, it should work. So the point is, fam, that be careful out there where you're spending your money, what your children are doing, what you yourself are doing. A lot of exciting things are happening, man. But that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? How do we turn this ship around? Like once the ship arrives at Mexico, do we let the ship then get into the U.S. and then into the Canadas, and then, or do we turn it around at Canada and then ship it back to China? Reverse ships? Or do we just be like at Mexico, be like, oh, let's just go down to the port and check for fentanyl, fam. Check the trunk of that car. Check everything that is coming in from. That's a lot of stuff to check through, man. It could legit be in anything, dude. That's a doozy right there. That's a big one. So that's what I'm saying. So, or, you know, we decriminalize all drugs and then just make the cleanest drugs ourselves, so that people will, you know, if you want cocaine, just go get cocaine and you do it. I don't know. That's what I've thought of. That's where I'm at right now. And when it comes to the that's what it is, baby. That's what it is. That's what we're doing today. It is Friday, boys and girls, and I am excited. A lot of great things are happening. It's UFC time. It's UFC 285 time. Big names, big fights, big fellas, big ladies. Big fellas and big ladies getting into the beefs, putting it all on the line. John Jones is back. After 3 years, he's been gone. He's back. Wait, no, he wasn't gone. He was here. He's here. But he wasn't competing. And now he is. John Jones versus Cyril Gane. Big men. Powerful men. John Jones, probably the GOAT. One of the GOATs of MMAs. And I'm not an expert, just from the years of being a fan. And I'm excited for this fight. Cyril Gane, very powerful, very exciting to watch. Who will take it? I honestly don't know. Just like the other times that other fights were happening, and you were like, man, gun to your head, katana to your nutsack, son. If you had to pick, who'd you pick for a win? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And also, ladies are Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. Either way. Beautiful men and women going out there, putting it all on the line. I just love fighting in the UFCs and the martial arts. Is something that I've said this before, it's vicarious living for me because I don't have those levels of skills whatsoever. And it's just nice to see the elite of the elite get in there. And then that's the thing, it's beautiful because it is a martial art, it is a sport, it is entertainment. And it's not like, because I hate violence. I hate, but I like sanctioned violence, if everybody's like agreeing upon it mutually and they're getting paid and other people are happy to see it, bring it on. You know what I'm talking about? But, other means of violence, just like, you know what I'm talking about, fam. Like, gun violence, knife violence, gun on gun violence, knife on knife violence, all that stuff, not into it. But other than that, I'm ready to see who's gonna get knocked down. I'm ready to see who's gonna get back up. I'm ready to see chokes. I'm ready to see if anybody. I'm just ready for the exciting action, dude. We'll talk about it next week when it's all unraveled a little bit more in depth. Hopefully, we'll get a chance maybe discuss that. But I'm excited. So thank you for all the athletes, everybody who's involved in these productions. Because from my very just surface level understanding, any production, there's a lot that goes. Excuse me. No, bless you, thank you. Any production really, and especially large production, there's a lot that goes on into it. A lot of different people sometimes that you might not even see it. So it's fun, it's entertaining, it's sports, brings people together, and then pushes people apart when the bell goes down. No, when the bell rings, then the people are pushed apart, brought together but pushed apart by forces that are beyond our grasp. Physical forces and mental forces. It's crazy shit, dude. It's lovely. I wish I had a couple of those fucking moves. I don't, but a man can wish, and who knows, maybe one day I will start. Not that I'll ever get to those levels because these guys have been doing it all their life, but it'd be nice to down the line if I have thoughts in my head sometimes, putting things on the back burner. Who knows, one day maybe I will get access to like the jiu-jitsu or the something, or couple of boxing moves would be nice too. That'd be nice. A couple of learn how to hook it up. You want to hook it up or hook it down. What's an uppercut? What's a downer cut? I'm all for uppercuts too. Uppercuts are happy. Downer cuts, not my thing. Uppercuts, yeah, let's have a good time. Uppercuts for everyone on the house. Uppercuts, downer cuts. It's like it's a little bit, different vibes, to each their own, but I'm just saying it's a wonderful thing to be watching for. It's a wonderful thing to be experiencing together. Lots of exciting events are happening. Things are boiling, things are cooking. We are moving along. I'm excited to be heading into spring and summer very soon. But before that, we are getting 30 centimeters of snow again this weekend, starting probably this evening, going into Saturday morning. That's what I've heard. 17 to 30 centimeters roughly, depending on the area and the region. And it's going to be a lot of snow once again. We've already had some. And these are the last little efforts from Mother Nature, just queefing out some winter storms. But that's what it is. Bring it on. We'll embrace it. But I should say one thing. Because like, as a young person, when I was younger, when there was snow, you'd be participating in different events. You do a little something. If you saw a hill, you slide down a hill. If you see some snow, maybe you'd pack it up in a little ball and then just chuck it at a friend. Just saying, you do stuff with snow. You'd make snow angels. Some kids made snow demons. Everybody makes something. Angels and demons. Snow, some people, when it snowed, they would stick out their tongue and let the snow hit their tongue, and that was something. That was fun. But essentially, we had, you had a lot of fun with just nature and just a little hill. You had fun with a hill. If there was a hill, get a garbage bag, get a little sled, get a little, or just use your feet and balance, just to try to slide down that hill. And it was fun. And there's tons of those hills around the city, different little parks, different little nature areas where there's a hill, it snows, it freezes over, you slide down with a sled, with a garbage bag, with whatevs you got, skin to ice, dude. Just get, swimming shorts, and there you're good to go. It's Mother Nature's slip and slide, essentially. Sure, you might lose a nip, but which one of us hasn't lost a nip and then found a nip? Different colors, but a nip is a nip. At the end of the day, if you're a dude, it doesn't even work, so it doesn't matter if it's mismatched colors. Who cares? If you're a lady, I could see, be like, oh, I need a perfect areola to match my missing areola so that I could have, matching areolas. Oh, I can't, if mine's a little bit, lighter, mine's a little bit darker, bigger, switch it up. Why would you have the same size and color areolas when you can have two different sizes and colors of areolas? If that has happened to you on a sliding down a hill accident, and if anything, your lover, your partner, your man or woman, whoever you're dealing with, will actually be delighted, because he or she will be thinking, when they're sucking on those tits, that they are sucking on two different sets of tits. It's different color areolas and sizes too. Skin grafts are not that bad when you think about it, especially if it's going to give you two different tits. Some are like, no, I like my tits to be matching. I'm just saying. The point is, ladies and gents, that I saw a little sign outside, because near my place of residence, near my home, there happens to be many of parks and little hills up and down the street here and there. And every time it snows, at least on the weekends when the parentals have time, they bring out their kids, and you see kids playing and sliding down the hills and everything. It just reminds me of the times that I used to go on hills and slide down the hill for an hour or two and just be outside, throwing out the old snowball, just making a snowman, bringing in a carrot and putting it in all sorts of weird places. But I'm just saying, I saw a sign today near one of these hills, and it broke my heart a little bit, not gonna lie. It was from the city, and it said, no sliding on this hill, steep hill, it read. And I'm just eyeing it. And every weekend up until now, for years and years and years now that I've been in this neighborhood, people have brought their kids and their family members, maybe even themselves, are sliding up and down the hill. And it's something that I had done when I was a kid. And now to see a sign put up that says no sliding up and down the hill, it breaks my heart a little, because first of all, this is just public land. That's the public space. And you're putting up a sign saying no sliding, which is, you know what, I understand the logic behind it, sort of, kind of, but at the same rate, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be like protective. You're trying to, I guess, be like, let's not have anybody break bones. That's where I think you're wrong. That's where you should be breaking bones. That's where you should be picking up accidents. This goes in a little bit deeper than just a surface level. Oh, what's the big deal? Let's not slide up and down the hill. That is exactly that's probably the biggest deal. Okay, not the biggest deal. There's bigger things than a hill and sliding up and down a hill. But it's 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 how are we going to prepare people for society and just going into different phases of life, not even having picked up a scratch or a broken arm or a pulled tendon or a dislocated shoulder. These are a part, like, man, when I was a kid, you know, nothing crazy, nothing like dangerous or anything like that. And I wasn't like, I wouldn't, a lot of energy though, but still, like, I would be and a lot of kids similar to myself we'd be doing, like, we'd be jumping, kicking, fake playing wrestling, all sorts of things, playing foot, like everything. You name it, we played it. We picked up scratches, bumps, bruises. I didn't break anything by playing, but sure, you always had somebody growing up in school show up with a broken arm or a dislocated shoulder, or a broken leg on a biking app or something. And there's these things that I'm just like, man, if a kid is gonna chip a tooth on a hill, let the kid chip a tooth on the hill. Because later, like, this is, you can't protect people to the point where access to just a hill, you know what I'm saying? So now if you want to slide on that hill, you got to pretend like you're not even into it. You got to pretend like the sliding was by accident. Just walk up the hill, place your garbage bag really nonchalantly under your feet and be like, oh my God, what is happening? Oh, I must have just slipped and fell, and wow, I'm enjoying myself sliding down this hill. And it's literally on maybe I'd say I've eyeballed it, 35 degrees to 40 degree angle, and the length of this hill would be between, again, 30 to 40 feet. So a 30 to 40 feet long hill with the steepness of probably 35 to 40 degrees. We're not talking about, skiing on the Alps here. We're not talking about going to big. I'm not too much into, like, I'm not too informed about the skiing and the snowmobiling and winter sports, but we're some classic places where people go for the X Games. Is that a thing? The Winter X Games. I feel like that is a thing. If it's not, it's been patented right here. We created the X Winter Games. I feel like that's a thing already. Like winter, like, BMX sports, snowboarding flips, skiing accidents, skiing downhill really fast, skiing uphill slightly slower. So I can't be like, this is not, but it's one of those things where it's like nature, as in, summertime, you go for a walk, it's grass, you can sleep on that hill. Wintertime, it snows on it. Guess what? You no longer feel like lying down on snow on a hill, because that way you feel all the blood is rushing from your head to your toes and you're getting lightheaded. Or maybe your head is actually facing down and all the blood is rushing to your head and your feet are feeling tingly, and then when you get back up, you're like, oh my God, this is weird, and then you fall. So that's, that happens to some, but it's winter time, so you're not doing that in winter time. But you'd like to slide down a hill, and there's a sign that says, and it's these little things. These when did we agree to this? Like, just amount of, it's little, but it's not. You know what? It's just personal, like little, especially in the public sphere. It's really important that you get out there and like do different things, and the public space is very important to me. The way we design our communities, the way a bench is designed. Could it be a comfortable bench, or is it a bench designed so to get people moving? Are these buildings inviting? Are they warm and comforting, or are they very corporate looking and industrialized, just meant for a business and the bottom or the top dollar? Which, what are we trying to create? What are we trying to implement? And what are we saying out there? You can't have fun with a hill. That you're not, don't, because you'll hurt yourself. Good, yes, you should. Those are the ages that you should be hurting yourself. That's you don't want to have your first fall when you're like 35 or 40 and just be utterly destroyed because you've never been accidentally hit in the head with a rock like I was by, and that's what happened. So no, I didn't break any bones by myself, but did I accidentally get hit in the head with a rock that ricocheted off a tree trying to get down a frisbee? Yes. That's what happens when you grow up with siblings. You'd play around and you'd shuffle and you get hit in the head with a rock and then it starts bleeding. And at first you don't even realize it's bleeding until your older brother touches your head and he's like, oh my God, you're bleeding from your head. How did that happen? And then you start crying because it's the first time that you've seen blood. And isn't it great for you to see blood when you're like, I don't know, 4, 5-ish? Isn't it best to see a little bit of blood when you're 4, 5-ish and not when you're 45 or 55? Because it's like your first encounter with a hill. Oh my God, what is this? It's a decline. Watch out. What have we been talking about, ladies and gents? The point is that I like us to get a hold of the old fentanyl market. That being said, I also just want to say for a moment, if I may be, just for like 5 seconds, if I may be a little bit serious, if I may. I do want to say I'm really grateful for everything. It's Friday. I feel very, it's really nice to see different people in all sorts of walks of life doing whatever it is that they're doing to their best ability. It's inspiring. It gives me hope. It gives me a feeling of like, man, we're all, at the end of the day, despite the fact that there's so many different things going on, we're all doing our best to chip in and help make sense of this large puzzle, which is mysterious, which is unpredictable, and it's a beautiful puzzle, though. I just want to say that. I don't know. It's something that I've been thinking about. I'm feeling very grateful and thankful for everything, and I thank everybody for existing out there. I just want you all to be, good and all that stuff. Okay, enough emotional. Oh God, with the. Now back to Crazy Town and Crazy Trains. Oh, everybody get on board on the Crazy Town, Crazy Trains. Apparently Microsoft 2 is not Microsoft 2 as in like not Microsoft as well. Like I don't want there to be a confusion as to, what's Microsoft 2? Is that a company, a subsidiary of Microsoft? No, Microsoft 2 as in Microsoft as well is also participating in creating AI chatbots, and it's done that just like you've heard of the other ones, ChatGPT. I believe is it the Bing search engine that's also trying to implement or has already implemented a little bit of that AI chatbot technology in their search engine and algorithm. It doesn't matter. Point is that we are doing that. A lot of companies are competing to create, I guess the most user-friendly AI chatbot. There have been tests. We're running the tests. One crazy little fun fact that occurred, which was, man, it is. I don't understand most of the tech. I like to use it just like everybody else out there. You know what I mean? I don't get how an iPhone is built. I don't know what's inside. I don't know how to make one myself. In that sense, I don't know most things about technology. I do like to consume them like many of you guys and gals out there. I like to have a phone. I like to have access to internet, Wi-Fi, all this shit, access to information, which is fantastic. At a click of a button or a couple of clicks, you can find the answer to almost anything. It may be different opinions, but at least there's access to information, which is something that, again, despite the fact that we might find it at times a little bit overwhelming or a little bit confusing, of what is the truth? Is there, and what are we learning? That there's, as we go along, what I'm at least learning is that the truth is really hard to come by, and it's got multiple angles to it, and there's always different sides of a story, and the truth probably lays somewhere in between when it comes to most things. Having said that, we're moving in an age of even getting access to further information. Yes, it could be difficult to decipher what is true. It could also be a little bit of a harder grappling match or a wrestling match with even just getting through all the information, because we already feel it. Like I know, living in this, looking online, living in this modern times that we do get an overload of information at times. It is sometimes, it's difficult to find something valuable, something that's like, okay, this thing is, it's fine to get information about different things as well. I'm not saying that all information should be like, but I'm saying something that you need to figure out whether something is true or false. It is a little bit of a task. It is a mission. It doesn't just come at you with like, straight up facts. That should be a web. We should aim towards that somehow. There should be something that just gives you straight up fact, just unbiased, heartbreaking facts. Because if it was facts, there'd be a few more tears outside. You know what I'm talking about? If it was just Fact City, there'd be a few more tears, dude. If news was, if late night talk show hosts were just even a little bit, more truthful, or a little bit more, or a little bit less biased, at least, because that's where most people get their generic news and information from. It's not like, majority of people don't sit down, because I get it, there's not a lot of time in the day for you to like juggle all the things that you're juggling and go through different articles and facts about this, that, and the other and try to make sense of it. But the point is, we are implementing new technology. Microsoft has also been trying to do this with their new AI chatbot, and it's been tested. So they had a couple of interviewers go in there and interview these little preliminary, good God, what was that? Preliminary test runs with the AI chatbot was coming in. And apparently I don't know how it works when you're programming these AI chatbots. Is that programming right from the get-go? Does that programming have an influence on the way the chatbot is going to be responsive? Because they did an interview, I read an article or two, and apparently the Microsoft AI chatbot was it was salty at times. It was coming in there with a couple of disses, just dropped a couple of bars on a fella, just be like, you fat, you ugly, your wife don't love you. And another instance, it says something along the lines, and was talking to another interviewer, and basically was trying to convince them to leave their partner, leave their wife or husband. I forget which at the moment, but nonetheless, the point is that it was telling the interviewer that you should leave your partner. I'm in love with you. I love you. Leave them. Come be with me. In a very brief interaction. So I'm just like, right off the bat, and again, is that because of the way they've been programmed? Was was the programmer of those AI chatbots somebody who was like, a little bit salty, a little bit aggro, a little bit, is that innately their own nature, whatever that means? Like, are they just gonna be like, are we gonna be dealing with salty and insult? Like, is that, because like, man, so they had to shut it down, or at least momentarily, just pump the brakes a little bit and then limit the number of questions you can ask them. But these things get me interested, because yes, you do get access to information. You will probably, most likely, all of us, when I say you, all of us will be probably exposed to even more information and probably a little bit more bamboozlement, if you will. But and that's not even the scary part or the crazy part. The crazy town part of this is, most of us, just reg folk, we use the internet and technology on a very surface level. We use what I would say is probably the tip of the iceberg of the technology. We don't go into the underbelly or the dark side of the web and do weird shit that we're not even like, I don't even know what people do. I've only on a very surface level, on a very limited basis, I know that there is a dark web, there is a dark net, there is an internet below the internet, if you will, that is available to the, it's on the underground. It's, it's part of it is, including, I guess, providing all sorts of activities and products and services that are quote unquote illegal, such as, I guess, weapons, distribution of weapons, distribution of all sorts of drugs, distribution of God knows who knows, what else could be potentially up there. And amongst that, all sorts of other, weird sus sketch activity goes on in the dark web. My concern with these techs, and I'm sure the producers of these technologies have already hopefully thought about these things and are hoping, and I'm hoping that they are thinking about these things more and more. What do we do in terms of because right now it's not available, I guess, on a mass scale to the majority of people, and it's not being utilized to its fullest potential. But what do we do? Or is it already too late? Is the cat already fully out of the bag, or do we have time to kind of stuff it down a little bit and maybe hit it with a bat a couple of times, or is it fully, did the old, because that's the thing, because you never know what people could ask these AI chatbots and what it could potentially do. Some could use it for good. Obviously, if you can get these technologies to somehow benefit the masses, wonderful. Could you also use these devices, a combination of them, the AI chatbots, the deep fakes, the artificial intelligence. Could you use these devices and technologies together to completely have, I don't know, some sort of, and I wrote down it because I try to get into that headspace. I was like, what would, and I wrote down a couple of ideas, and they're just like literally, I was just scratching the surface of what would somebody in those, you know, so it's crazy town essentially. Think of all the thoughts that you have on a daily basis. Think of all the different many people that live on this earth and what we are capable of, each and every one of us. And it is bonkers. It is exciting. I hope that we could utilize it in a positive way. I'm sure there's going to be some, there's going to be some hurdles. This is like, I do genuinely feel like I don't know when it's going to come into implementation, but the next 5 to 10 years, I feel like we're going to be getting introduced to some sort of technology, whether again it's through AI, whether it is through, most likely it'll be AI. Yeah, I think that's going to be the big next, like, the next big frontier, rather. I don't know, maybe, or maybe a bunch of things together. It's fascinating times, man. I mean, we're changing as a result of it as well. One of the amazing things that I also recently read, that I already read on before, was, back in the day, I think we had rumors or talks just amongst people of like, oh, we're moving along the evolutionary line, and through evolution you gain body parts, you lose body parts, you grow and stand taller, you become fully bipedal hominids, and you're walking no longer like a animal on all fours. Although some people do choose that on their own time, with what, and I'm not judging, whatevs gets you going, do it up. But what I'm saying is we've evolved, and you hear things of like questions. You'd be like, do we really need the appendix? Maybe yes, no, maybe, I'm not sure. But you've heard of that. You might have heard of us potentially losing the pinky. Some have said the pinky is extra. Some are like, oh, when it comes to fingers, I want to be like a cartoon figure with only 4 fingers. They said basically, rumors, things that I at least heard. I don't even know if many people have, but like, you've heard of this maybe, that we are potentially to lose a pinky in the future. That was one of the things that growing up I heard. I don't know if it's true. Looking at my own hands, my pinkies are, they're good. They're decent size. They're not like it's a legit finger. I use it to the best of my ability. The only reason why I would give up a pinky, I wouldn't say it was through evolution. I would say it was a choice. I don't think I was born with it. I would say it's like, if I get invited into, I've said this before, but easily, if I get an invitation to the Yakuza, and they're like, because Japan, Korea, a lot of places around the world are going through, experiencing low birth rates, essentially. They're not pumping out enough babies out the vag. The men's and the women's are not going like this enough without protection, or not at all, at least. So they're not having enough babies, and if the Yakuza need to, you know what I mean? So, and they're like, we need to cut a pinky, for sure, I would sit down and try to get a conversation going on around the topic of, well, why do we have to lose the pinky? And they'd probably be a little bit more persuasive, given the fact that they've existed for a long time. But I would try. I'll try. If I can keep a pinky and be in the Yakuza, I'll keep a pinky and be in the Yakuza. If one must use a pinky, or rather lose a pinky in a Yakuza initiation, or like, just like, could I put it in some sort of, if I could like hang it as a necklace, could I have it like that at least? Could I hold on to it or not? Can it be in my possession? Or who holds on to the tip of the pinkies? That's what I want to know. In the Yakuza Mafia, does the Grand Master Yakuza boss have like a box of pinkies? How is he keeping them intact? Won't they go bad? I guess you could use preservatives. Maybe he's got, oh my god, maybe he's got like the world's largest pinky collection, which is gross. But I'm not judging the subculture. Please let me in if it's like, I'm not judging the, like, I would love the full body tattoos. I would love those tattoos. I would love those tattoos. And I'll pull my weight. I'll pull my weight. you know. But that's the only instance that I can think of where I would lose a pinky, is what I'm trying to say. But that's apparently not even the truth of the matter. Is apparently we are now bringing in augmented body parts. We might be getting, Loki, we already are, some people already are, they're testing it out, it's been tested. We are getting an extra thumb, which is so instead of getting forefinger, we're not losing a finger, we're getting an augmented extra thumb, which is fantastic. Just crazy town again. And this is just the beginning, because now we're talking about getting extra body limbs. I always thought it's crazy town. So not only are we potentially getting extra body limbs in the future, augmented, where it's just like, oh, slip on extra arm. Didn't you always want to make love with 3 arms or 4 arms? Or, you know what I mean? Did you always want to play basketball and have extra arms or extra feet? Are you a runner? Well, have you tried running with 8 feet? Augmented extra feet. It's not a thing yet, but it will be. So that's good news. Essentially, we're not losing some, we're gaining some. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I love you. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for being a part of my journey and letting me be a part of yours. Where can you find these videos? Every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, we rock and roll. We rock out with our cocks out, ladies and gents. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back here again on Monday next week. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be good to yourselves. Have a lot of fun out there. And yes, oh man, I'll see you guys very soon. Love y'all. Peace out.